Church. This is Annette Dion. This is Church of Spirituality. Happy Sunday. Hope you're keeping your vibration peaceful. As usual, we'll wait a few moments for people to show up. Thank you for being here. And we're here to pray. We're here to center ourselves in the midst of the world chaos. And we're going to do some healing of the world. And I'm grateful that you're here. I have decided that I am going to host another meditation, and it's going to be this afternoon, and I'll mention it again in a little bit. So as I said, I'm just going to wait for people to show up, and while we're waiting, we will simply take some deep centering breaths and make sure that you're in a quiet space. We need to all be in a quiet space, especially nowadays. It's so important. Thank you for being here. Please hold your intentions in your heart. We will have a prayer time in a little bit once we, dive into the program for today. It's a new month. Today's March 6th, right? Last Sunday was still February, so we have a new month. And somebody's saying good evening, so good afternoon from the East Coast of the United States. And good to see you here. I'm pulling together a meditation live on YouTube today at 3 p.m. Eastern. So there'll be an hour break in between the service. So the service is an hour. There'll be an hour break. And then I'm going to pull together the prayers and meditation, the same as I did before. From Portland. Hi, people from all over. So 3 p.m. Eastern time, I'm pulling together a meditation. We're going to meditate and pray for Ukraine and Russia and the world. So I'll put a notice up too. It's very spontaneous. Like I just decided just now. Let's have some music. Give people a chance to show up. In the meantime, just so you know, what you type in comes and goes really quickly, so I'll catch what I can. I'm gonna just play this. So last evening we had some music time, and I did play that one that's called Jesus Draw Me Close. And the words are, Jesus draw me close, closer Lord to you. Let the world around me fade away. Jesus draw me close, closer Lord to you, for I desire to worship and to pray and obey. I'm changing the words. As you know, Church of Spirituality is non-denominational. We're acknowledging that we are all spiritual beings having a human experience, and we're all here to do our part to make the world a more happy, joyous, and peaceful and loving place So couple more musical pieces and then we'll just jump into the program. Kind of gives people a chance to show up, show up. And let's do a little bit of a sing-along. It's really easy. It goes like this. God is so good. God is so good. God is so good. God's so good to us. God is so good. God is so good. God is so good. God's so good to us. And now I'm just going to sing, God is so... God was an awesome God. Maybe we'll sing that too. So what we're going to do next is we're going to say, God is so good, God is so good, God is so good, God's so good to you. God is so good, God is so good, God is so good, God's so good to you. God loves us so, God loves us so, God loves us so, God loves us so. God is so good, God is so good, God is so good, God's so good to us. So if you've been watching the news, and I know you've all been watching the news because you can't ignore a major world event that's affecting everybody. If you watch the news, just be aware that you're not seeing the good news. You're not seeing the good stories. You're not seeing the stories so much of the love and the outpouring of help and the goodness of people. You're not really seeing those. We're seeing the disaster and we're seeing the tragedy and the devastation. But let's keep it. You'll delete what afterwards? Let's keep it in mind that because we're seeing all the devastation and the tragedy, keep in mind there's also love, amazing stories of love and goodwill and humanitarianism also that are quite deeply inspiring. So just because you don't see the inspiring stories of love, don't think that they're not there, because they are. Let's get started with the program, shall we? Where have I put it? I am starting a list of people, good to see you, of people who would like to receive the program each week. I haven't really been on top of it too much. It's been a busy time. And I will send you the program after today. If you'd like to receive it, send an email to AnnetteDion7@gmail.com. Just put COS for Church of Spirituality in the subject line if you'd like to receive today's program afterwards. and future programs. I just have to get it set up. It's just a logistical thing so that you can follow along for next week. Hopefully, I will get it together. I'm going to start today's service with an opening prayer, and this is a spiritual mind treatment from The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. And a spiritual mind treatment is an affirmative prayer. So in a spiritual mind treatment, what you'll notice is that it's not so much like, dear God, please help us, please help us. It's more of affirming that God is present and working through all situations and all of us. So a prayer for world peace by Ernest Holmes, who lived and he wrote The Science of Mind in the 1930s. We know there is but one mind, which is the mind of God, in which all people live and move and have their being. We know there is a divine pattern for humanity, and within this pattern, there is infinite harmony and peace, cooperation, unity, and mutual helpfulness. We know that the mind of each person, being one with the mind of God, shall discover the method, the way, and the means best fitted to permit the flow of divine love between individuals and nations, and in particular in Ukraine and Russia. We know there shall be a free interchange of ideas, of cultures, of spiritual concepts, of ethics, of educational systems, and scientific discoveries, for all good belongs to all alike. I know that because the divine mind has created us all, we are bound together in one infinite and perfect unity. In bringing about world peace, we know that all people and all nations will remain individual but unified for the common purpose of promoting peace, happiness, harmony, and prosperity. We know that deep within every person, the divine pattern of perfect peace is already implanted. We now declare that in each person and in leaders of thought everywhere, this divine pattern moves into action and form, to the end that all nations and all people shall live together in peace, harmony, and prosperity forever. And so it is. That's from Ernest Holmes' quotes on peace. Our theme for the month of March is abundance, and today's sermon is the abundance of God's presence. We're going to be talking about God being abundantly present for all, everywhere, at all times. So thank you for being here. Please do yourself a beautiful favor and make sure that you're in a quiet space for the duration of the service, which is an hour. And so what we want to do is just make sure you take some deep breaths and feel centered and grounded. And we all owe it to ourselves to at least have an hour a week of getting tuned into spirit. The announcements are that Grassroots of Democracy, if you're in the States, is up and running and doing wonderfully well. Please join us by sending an email to grassrootsofdemocracy@gmail.com. Just type AYE in the subject line, and we are really working hard to save our democracy. Next time I could probably play All Things Bright and Beautiful. I will definitely, you're welcome. I have it in my hymnal. I just, it's too much for me to pull that one out today, but I will. I promise. Don't bother, don't feel like you'll be bothering me to remind me too. Let's read the mission statement. We believe we are all connected to divine intelligence, continually moving through all of life and through all living things. We remember to always align ourselves with the divine presence to create healing miracles in our own lives, positively affecting the lives of all those we come into contact with, seen and unseen. We believe that the kingdom of heaven resides within each and every one of us, and that love is all there truly is. We know and acknowledge that we are one. And the other announcement is that at 3 p.m. Eastern today, and I will post it, I just decided, we will have a 1 hour meditation and prayer time. So we really need to send prayers to Ukraine and Russia. Our healing chants. It's time for our lovely healing chants. And these are really simple to remember and to sing along. The first, as you know, if you've been with us is All Is Well. And it goes like this. All is well, all is well, all is well. Sing along. All is well, all is well, all is well. One more time. All is well, all is well, all is well. This one, next one, is one that we kind of can really use right now, and it's about forgiveness. And collectively, we can really use bring in forgiveness energy into our beings. It's very challenging to feel forgiveness for people that are doing terrible things. So we're just going to make a space available. We're going to make ourselves available for forgiveness energy to channel through us, because that frees us of the low vibrational toxicity of anger and resentment. And it goes like this. I forgive everyone, I forgive everyone, I forgive everyone, I forgive everyone, forgive everyone. And with God's help, forgive everyone, especially myself. And now we go to the plural. We forgive everyone, we forgive everyone, we forgive everyone, forgive everyone, we forgive everyone. And with God's help, we forgive everyone, especially ourselves. Once again, we forgive everyone, we forgive everyone, we forgive everyone, we forgive everyone, forgive everyone. And with God's help, we forgive everyone, especially ourselves. We forgive everyone. That does not mean condoning terrible behavior. That just means we want to be clearer channels for the higher vibrational frequencies to come through us. You can be late, it's fine. We're available for the high frequency energies to come through us, to channel through us. Last night at our music time, we sang Make Me a Channel of Your Peace, the prayer of St. Francis, which is really, you know, being a channel for light and love and peace is really our work here. That's really our job. So when we do the forgiveness chant, we're actually just making ourselves available to be more free and ready for the love to come through. So the last one is I move at God's pace, just to remind us that, you know, sometimes things don't happen on our time, things happen on the divine, in the divine's time. So this is about that. I move at God's pace and I receive God's guidance. God provides abundantly. I have no fear at all. Now we'll say we. We move at God's pace and we receive God's guidance. God provides abundantly. We have no fear at all. We move at God's pace and we receive God's guidance. God provides abundantly. We have no fear at all. So God provides abundantly. We have no fear at all. So abundance is a theme for the month of March. And we might do Make Me a Channel of Your Peace today. Let's go to what we have next. We are going to do our prayer time now. So if you have any prayer requests, obviously the prayer will be focusing heavily on peace in Ukraine. But if you have prayer requests, and I might miss them, but just know that other people that are here in fellowship today will pray for you too. So put your prayers up there. And I have Psalm 46, verse 10, be still and know that I am God. We are going to go right into a guided prayer, and it requires for everybody to be undisturbed, undeterred by people, pets, children. Just if everybody can be quiet, get your children to be quiet and pray with you, and maybe your pets too. So feel free to post your prayers. The prayer is usually about 3 to 4 minutes, and I just say what Spirit directs me to say. So this is our chant. Close your eyes. Our chant going into the prayer. We are one in spirit. We co-create with God. We lift our prayers up to the light, expanding love in thoughts. We are one in spirit, we co-create with God. We lift our prayers up to the light, expanding love in thoughts. Okay, quiet with your eyes closed. Allowing your breath to settle down, breathing deeply and slowly, settling all your energies into the present moment. The stillness making us more available to the presence of the divine, which is always within us and around us. And let's take a moment of silence to send our healing and our love to Ukraine, to the people, and the Russian people especially. As we pray, dear God, we thank you for your presence and this fellowship. We thank you for Church of Spirituality, an opportunity for us to join together in prayer. Dear God, we ask that you shower your blessings and your love and your healing on everybody present here and all those who will be watching later and over all the world. During these very difficult and terrifying times, we ask you, dear Lord, to make us more aware of what we can do to be more still and what we can do to be instruments of your peace and of your love and healing. Forgive us for those times when we complained. Forgive us for those times when we chose agitation over love. Forgive us for those times that we chose doubt and cynicism over trust and faith in you. Dear Lord, we are frightened. Please remove our fear and make us courageous in the face of what we are facing as an earth people. This challenge, dear Lord, is too great for us. We must reach to you and know that your hand is present in what is unfolding before us. Please help us to send peace to Ukraine and peace to the Russian people in particular. We ask you to guide the meetings of the UN. We ask for clear-headedness in our leaders, and that their conversation and meetings are guided by the angels. We ask Gabriel, the archangel of communication, to be very strongly present in these meetings. We know that we stand at a precipice. Help us to choose love. Help us to choose healing. And please calm us down, Lord. Enter into our hearts. Make us beacons of light. Dear Lord, help us to heal the divisiveness in our world, heal the divisiveness in the United States and all Western civilizations, especially during this time of great struggle between democracy and dictatorship. We thank you for the prayers that you have answered. We ask that you help those who are struggling with the pandemic to find healing. We ask for healing in all war-torn areas, an end to human suffering, an end to human trafficking. Dear Lord, please help the children, the elders, those who are so dependent on the stability of those around them to feel safe. And where there is great fear, please allow us to see opportunities and openings for us to contribute great love. Guide us, dear Lord. Guide those who feel that they have no purpose. Please show us all what we can do to ensure the best possible outcome. May we all join together through this crisis as a world for a future of unity, healing the world's problems together. And we know that love is still the most powerful force in all the universe, and that you, dear God, are love. And we thank you for entering into our hearts today as we say amen, and so it is. And we're back. It's good to pray daily. You know, it says somewhere in the Bible, it says pray without ceasing. And if there's any time to be praying without ceasing, it is definitely the time. Our first reading is from Eric Butterworth. And Eric Butterworth lived during the time that Ernest Holmes did. You can look up Eric Butterworth. You can look up Ernest Holmes. There's so many names. Emmett Fox. Around the time of Christian Science, you know, Mary Baker Eddy, that time period, the early 1900s, around the 1930s, 40s, there was some amazing spiritual material that came through these wonderful teachers and thinkers and you know, theologians. I find it very interesting that we almost 100 years later find ourselves back around in this time. That was a wartime, and now we're back in a wartime, and the cycle seems to be repeating, but each time the energy shifts and there's potential for us to bring in some great light through the crises. So let's listen to the words of Eric Butterworth. The name of the book is Discover the Power Within You. I encourage you to look up these people. Many people are disturbed by the trend of things in the world. What can be done about the division of men and nations, about man's inhumanity to man? Certainly there is a need for the advent of a new race, but a race of men is made up of individuals. Every person must ultimately face this fact and direct his or her desire for world peace through the ideal, let it begin with me. No matter what condition the world is in, you can find and express peace within yourself. For the kingdom of God is within you. And it is not enough to isolate yourself in peace away from the world. You must become a peacemaker, an influence for peace among men. Christians have talked about being saved. This usually implies being saved from society, from the rest of the pagan and evil world, but no man can be saved from society. He must be saved with it, if at all, for he is society and society is him. Herbert Spencer says profoundly that no one can be perfectly moral until all are moral. No one can be perfectly free till all are free. No one can be perfectly happy till all are happy. This might lead us to re-examine the age-old question of Cain, am I my brother's keeper? The United States has tried to be a keeper to brothers around the world, but has found that being a keeper arouses the resentment of the kept. So the answer is, no, I am not my brother's keeper, I am my brother's brother. And more than that, in the cosmic perception of the divinity of man, I am my brother and my brother is me. When we begin to treat people individually and in groups as spiritual beings, saluting the divinity within them, then we will give and receive and do business on the level of love and mutual trust. We will begin to expect far more of ourselves and of others. And we will treat people as if they already were what our faith reveals that they can be. In this way, we will actually become an influence to help them get out of the basement of limited thinking and limited living. So that's a long one. It's from Discover the Power Within You by Eric Butterworth. And there's a lot in there. We'll visit that during the sermon. So let's go to Let There Be Peace on Earth. This is a time for our first musical selection. Several people wanted me to play this one, so I hope you're going to sing along. It goes like this. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was hope you were singing. Were you singing? Just checking. Okay. May all those vibrations go out to the world. The second reading is from 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 8 through 12. Glad you were singing. It makes me really happy to know that you were singing. Just so you know. All right. Because I know that's raising the energy. And because it's fun to sing. Doesn't matter if you think you can sing or not. Singing's good. Good. Excellent. The second reading. I have to say, I had a few choices for readings. And I wanted to pick from the Bible. And I just asked Spirit, show me the right one. Not that there's a right or wrong, but this is what I was given. From the Gospel according to Peter. Finally, all of you, be like-minded. Be sympathetic. Love one another. Be compassionate and humble. Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evils with blessing. Because to this you were called, so that you may inherit a blessing. For whoever would love life and see good days must keep their tongue from evil and do good. They must seek peace and pursue it. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their prayer. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. Who is going to harm you if you are eager to do good? But even if you should suffer for what is right, you are blessed. Do not fear their threats. Do not be frightened. But in your hearts revere Christ as Lord. And so it is. The next song is one that I wrote. And haven't played it very much. I played it on New Year's Eve. I had a 3-hour kind of a vigil on New Year's Eve. And I did play it then at the beginning. You can find that on my timeline. So this is a prayer that I wrote, and I know that I wrote it actually before September 11th, and it's called Father, Mother, God. Okay, so you won't know it, but just if you can just listen to the words, it's a prayer. Father, Mother, God, Maker of the earth, that was a little prayer. We're already to our sermon time. So the topic today is the abundance of God's presence. And, you know, we always start our prayer time, usually when I remember, with the Psalm. Thank you. With the Psalm, be still and know that I am God. And I appreciate your compliments. Be still and know that I am God. During these times, it's really tempting to think and to believe that this is it. There's no hope. There's no nothing. What are we gonna do? It's so tempting to say, you know, the evil won't ever stop. We have no power. You know, it's so tempting to go to those places of, you know, the evil's winning, because we just see it everywhere. And if anything has been really pronounced in my thinking and reflecting since February 24th, I believe, since 2 weeks ago when the war started, because I've been praying about it, and I know that you've been praying about it also. So what I keep on getting is that God is speaking to us to clear up, just to clear up our stuff. We have to clear up our stuff. I don't know how else to put it. You know, it's really interesting that just keeps being the resounding message. And so I'm asking myself, you know, like, what did Jesus mean when he said, love your enemies and pray for your enemies and pray for your persecutors, like to hang on the cross and to say, after they crucified him, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I mean, how do we forgive evil? How does this world allow evil? How has it gotten to this point? And I keep on getting, we have to clear up our stuff. And so so let me just remind us all of, I forgive everyone. With God's help, I forgive everyone, especially myself. The more we learn about spirituality and the messages of Jesus and the messages of the great avatars, those who are still on the earthly plane and those who are on the other plane guiding us, you know, in order for us to be channels of that light, like make me a channel of, you know, we'll do that one at the end, or just decided we'll do make me a channel of your peace at the end. In order to be channels of the healing and the love and the peace, we have to figure out how to clear up our anger. We have to figure out how to clear up our resentment. We have to figure out how to clear up our violent rage. And I'm here to tell you, I've met so many people that are on a spiritual path that they still think that rage and anger is bad. So what ends up happening is they bury, you know, we do this, we bury our anger and we bury our rage because we feel like it's bad. Because somewhere along the line, somebody told us that anger and rage and feeling sad and discontented and frustrated and all those other negative things are bad. So it starts from the get-go. It starts from the first time that somebody said to you, don't be mad, be glad. Or wasn't that even a commercial? Don't be mad, be glad. We got to get a grip. I mean, we have to get a grip, people, because we cannot go around seething with rage and expect the world to be a peaceful place. I think that it's worth, you know, mentioning and repeating. And last week I talked about how it's not easy. And I told you about the Dalai Lama when he was asked by a reporter if he was afraid when he had to flee Tibet, when the Chinese ravaged Tibet. And he said, yes, I was very afraid. I was afraid that I'd lose my compassion, because that's what the spiritual practice is. I've also received sort of a message from Spirit that the evil and the violence and the terrible, you know, wishing bad things for people and the bullying and just the glorification of guns and all of this, like, you know, get them before they get you. And, you know, when you think about, you know, like oligarchs that have these super yachts that cost millions of dollars per month for upkeep, and the minions that are working for practically nothing, just barely scraping by. And we see the injustices go on, and we become so angry about that. It's really something that we have to understand, is we're contributing to that selfishness when we're selfish. On the collective level, I'm not here to make anyone feel guilty about that. I'm here to say that it's important for us to look for the source of our dissatisfaction and the source of our discontent and feeling hatred and feeling angry. And to be the love and to be the peace that we need to see in the world. The world is very obviously out of balance. And just to mention Vladimir Putin, the guides are telling me, my spirit, the way spirit talks to me, like spirit talks to you. I'm not alone in spirit talking to me. I just want to be clear about that. He's the culmination of all the evil feelings and all the violent feelings and all the insanity that is part of the collective energy. And it's like the story of the Native American elder whose your grandson asked him about, there are two wolves, which one will be, will grow more, and it's like the wolf that you feed is the wolf that's going to grow more. So an evil energy, like we keep collectively, I know not you individually, but collectively, we have been feeding the evil. We have been allowing this violence to continue in our thoughts and in our hearts and in our, and in our actions. And we are human beings, and when somebody commits a great injustice to us, we have to clear the resulting anger. We cannot stuff it. We have to clear it. To be channels of God's peace. It's like in the Aramaic language that Jesus spoke, if it was correctly translated, what Jesus taught was to make ourselves sacred vessels for the divine. And I've spoken of this before. To make ourselves, like, that's what Make Me a Channel of Your Peace is about. We are channels. It's like we're a pipe. And we don't want to clog the pipe with anger and resentment. And I'm here to tell you, those of us that have experienced the most injustice, the most abuse, the most trauma, have the most spiritual purpose of all in terms of the collective. Because when we come to a place where even though we have those human emotions, we have been able to clear them, we have been able to forgive, that's like a superpower. Then forgiveness and releasing is like a superpower, because through resistance training and processing and releasing, you have become a bigger, stronger channel for the light and for the love and for the healing. A few weeks ago, I was complaining. I was complaining about the opportunity that I saw as missed at the most recent Super Bowl for music to have been showcased and highlighted as a unifying force. And people, not everyone, some people understood what I was talking about, what I was referring to. So some people had a problem with that. And let me tell you where I was coming from. When we all join together in an energy, like that's why we were singing last night, that's why we're singing together today. When we all join together with one collective energy, where we're singing something like We Are the World, where we're singing something like, Om together, we're chanting together. When we all come together as that one energy, the collective is uplifted. The evil is lessened. So we want to take those opportunities to lift the collective vibration. That's the real work. That's the real work that we have to do as a collective. Those of us that know, because not everybody knows this, we're here to lift the collective energy. And there's no time that's been more important I believe in the timeline of human history. There's never been a time more important than this for us to be channels of stillness and love and light and peace. I want to tell you that in my work, in my counseling, in my readings, the work that I do, it's been so fascinating to me how many people I have met, and this is not a judgment, it's an observation, who are still violently, ragingly angry at, say, a parent or an abuser who's not even on the earthly plane anymore, still waiting for that person that's crossed over to the other side to apologize to them. And I'm not saying that's wrong. It's natural for us to want the person who made us a victim of some horrible thing to want them to apologize. But I just feel like saying sometimes they're dead. They're not here and you're still waiting for an apology? Figure out how to vent the anger. And that when the being crosses over to the other side, honestly, when people cross over to the other side, they're not their human personalities anymore. They go to the land of light and love that some people call nirvana, some people call heaven. That's where they go. And if we're still harboring resentment and waiting for an apology for somebody who's not even in human form anymore, the only thing that's damaged by that is ourselves and all those that we come into contact with directly or indirectly, and it affects the collective. So I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy. This collective acceptance of the glorification of violence and hatred is what has perpetrated this from an energetic perspective. And going back to people that I have met, and I am not judging, I'm just telling you what's going on. People that I've met that have been doing these, forgiveness work and, forgiveness, I forgive. Maybe they sing the forgiveness song. Maybe they do the Ho'oponopono, that are seething with rage. It's not the way to forgive. The way to forgive effectively is to admit when it's happening, I am seething with freaking rage. And to ask God, to ask the divine, enter into me, dear Lord. Please make me available for the forgiveness. Please take this, let this cup pass. It's really so big for me. I'm not sure I can handle it, but I have to find a space for forgiveness because this toxicity is eating away at me and it's eating away at everybody that I come into contact with, and it's not feeding the collective with what the collective needs right now. So by God's grace, we sang Amazing Grace last night. By God's grace, through God's grace, please help me to be love. I know it's not an easy ask. And I know it's daily work. It's just like if somebody's in a recovery group, it's daily work. We have to recover from the hatred that's been perpetuated. And now we see people that are suffering the ravages of the collective hatred that's personified in this person called Vladimir Putin. And we don't know what to do. But we have to start with peace. We have to start with peace within us and pray for help. Because it's coming. Because it's coming. And we will pray and meditate for peace at 3 p.m. today, Eastern time. So please join me for that. And I will post it. I'm a bit maybe too spontaneous with how I do things, but that's just the way it is. if you have any questions about that, I am considering having some workshops and classes to help us to get through the negative feelings and to the love. So it's pretty, yeah, you know, some people say, you know, it's easy to do forgiveness. And then by the same token, I have met a lot of people too that have said that they forgave and they really haven't. And I'm not saying that you haven't. It's an energy. So let us go to our time of giving. What I want to say about giving this week is that I know the International Rescue Committee is giving aid to Ukraine refugees. So it's the International Rescue Committee. That's a good place to donate. I don't have it set up for people to donate to Church of Spirituality, which 100% of donations go to charity anyway. So I'll read our prayer of thanksgiving. Dear God, thank you for making us more aware of what we have that we can give to others to make a difference in this troubled world. Please help us to look deeply into our hearts to see that we can give more of what we have. Help us to see that our supply is infinite, and grant us the inspiration and courage to be a more generous people. Thank you for the bounty which we receive. Amen. And as promised, let's sing Make Me a Channel of Your Peace before we close. And thank you for being here today. I know there's a lot going on, and a lot of people are watching the news. So, and can I just say, take breaks from the news so you can raise the vibration for the collective. It's really important. Okay, St. Francis, prayer of St. Francis. Where'd you go? So, hopefully you know the words. And this will be our closing hymn before we say goodbye for now, for an hour. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring your love. Where there is injury, your pardon, Lord. And where there's doubt, true faith in you. Make me a channel of your peace. Where there's despair in life, let me bring hope. Where there is darkness, only light. And where there's sadness, ever joy. Master, grant that I may never see so much to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love with all my soul. Make me a channel of your peace. It is important giving of ourselves that we receive, and in dying they're born to eternal life. And before we go, let us read the quote by Ernest Holmes from The Science of Mind. Through the long night watches, God's hand clasps ours. At the break of dawn, God's hand clasps ours. In the daytime of work and endeavor, from eternity to eternity, God's hand clasps ours. When time shall have passed, when eternity shall be strewn about like falling petals, and space and world shall be swallowed up in everlasting blessedness, God's hand shall clasp ours, and so it is. Please join us at 3 Eastern Time, that's in an hour, for 1 hour of prayer and meditation for Ukraine and Russia and the world. And thank you so much for joining us today. Please tell people about the meditation that's coming in an hour right here live on YouTube. And we're overtime, so namaste. I feel your presence and thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see you. Really appreciate you being here. Hopefully we'll see you in an hour for our meditation. Thanks.